All right, General Electric shares ended lower today after the announcement that GE will sell its security unit, a deal that could bring in about $2 billion. What does this mean for GE investors? Joining us to talk more about that is one himself from Cincinnati, Peter Sorrentino, a GE shareholder and senior portfolio manager at Huntington Asset Advisors. His firm holds about 16 million shares of General Electric. Pete, thanks for coming on the show at such short notice. Obviously, breaking news here, a Bloomberg exclusive story. Let me start by asking you what your first take is. I thought, it smells kind of desperation to sell such a big unit in this kind of environment, and then we find out, obviously, such a huge company, it's not a giant unit.
Right, with an $800 billion balance sheet, $2 billion here, $2 billion there, it's not that big of an issue, but it is telling. What we always wondered when this whole crisis started was what would GE look like when it was all said and done. And we're seeing the next phase in that. That's why the stock stalled out in the mid-teens, is we're now waiting to find out, okay, what happens from here. This business is very unique. If you look at it, it's as though it's an arms race. They have to invest constantly in this business. The threats are constantly changing. They're evolving. It's a capital-intensive business. Is it a core business going forward? Is it an ancillary, or is it one of their cores? And it's an ancillary business. It's one they can part with, and rather than dump more capital into it to keep it competitive, the franchise has value today, the markets are freeing up, and there are buyers out there with money to spend. All
right, so then taking a look really at the big picture for GE, is this the right time for them to be reshuffling their bench, and who do they replace this with? I mean, what do they use this money to build as a successful business for them?
This could go back into their core businesses, whether it's aircraft engine, power systems, medical imaging. Those businesses need capital. They need it. You heard Wilbur Ross talking about buying into Greenbrier, the rail car manufacturer. GE has one of the best locomotive designs in the world, and it sells well. You put money back into that. So there are better places, bigger core businesses for them to put this capital, and so from that prospect, there are better return on investments in the business for them.
Let me ask you then more specifically about who could buy this. We're looking at Tyco International and United Technologies as possible buyers. Could there be a bidding war for this business that could elevate the price to above $2 billion?
It's conceivable. Remember, GE has done partnerships in this business line, the airline security business. They partnered up with Safra a number of years ago. So there is the potential, and when you look at most of the growth in this business for them has been outside North America. So to see a foreign bidder come in and take a look at this business, as long as there's no technology transfer issues, you could see a European buyer of this very easily. You could see an Asian buyer of this business.
Which is a good segue to my next question. I mean, GE, obviously, a lot of its businesses get a lot of their revenue, a healthy chunk of their revenue outside of the U.S. Do you see them going more in that direction here?
That's where the growth for them will be. The North American market's a mature market, and if you want the kind of growth that they're looking for, those are the markets that you have to focus on. Their partnerships in the Mediterranean and also in the Persian Gulf, to really move into the power systems, to do combined, water and power. Those are growth areas. They're big ticket items. They're countries with money to spend. So that's where I think they see their future.
What do you think, by the way, you raised the question of power investments, power businesses. What do you think about the green tech business for GE? I mean, do you think that that's one of the strong core businesses where they could invest this kind of money?
Right now we're seeing, how much political will there is in terms of carrying this forward now that, energy prices have abated somewhat, and that's a struggling business. I know GE is lobbying for more investment in green. They've got a big stake in that business. They want to see it continue to build out. So that's one where, it's really going to be a question of, is the political will, is the populace still focused enough on that there's enough to carry it through? That could be an area of risk for them. They've staked an awful lot on it.
All right, the shares nonetheless didn't react so well to this move today. Why do you think that is, and where do you see the shares at fair value?
Well, right now it's that reality phase where, okay, we knew that they were going to have to cut back. We knew that capital was going to be scarce. What businesses are they not going to continue to dump more money into and are going to go? You said, is this a good time to sell? clearly, no. These values are still depressed. NBC Universal has long been rumored to be a piece of business that they're going to have to find another home for. But right now, those values are still very depressed. So, it's a question of, where are we going from here? What kind of prices do we see? If they get a good bid for this, I think you'll see the stock begin to move, because that'll indicate that the buyers really are willing to step up and take off major pieces of business from them.
All right. Hey, Pete, thanks very much. Peter Sorrentino there, Senior Portfolio Manager at Huntington Asset Advisors.